Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Hope you are doing well. This is my, this is my third class on the subject that's the biology. तो हम पढ़ रहे थे सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. तो उससे मैंने बता दिया, डिस्क्रिप्शन की थी सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन की. उसके बाद मैंने गेमेट्स के बारे में भी आपको बता दिया था. अब हम जो मतलब आज पढ़ने जा रहे हैं, दैट्स अबाउट द फर्टिलाइजेशन. सो लेट मी फर्स्ट एक्सप्लेन यू व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय द फर्टिलाइजेशन. नाउ लिसन. We are going to define the fertilization. What fertilization is actually? When we study the fertilization, we say that fertilization, it is the fusion of male and female gametes. So we are going to define the fusion fertilization. And I'm just telling you that what's a fertilization? It's a fusion of male and female gametes, the male and female gametes. Now, the male gamete, as we know that we receive the male gamete in the form of sperm and the female gamete in the form of ova. Now, the fusion of sperm and ova, the process to be called as fertilization, and led the formation of the structure that is to be called as zygote. Okay, it's to be called as zygote. Now listen here. तो मैंने शायद आपको already बता चुका हूँ कि the sperm may contain the half set 1n of chromosomes, and the ova will also contain the 1n half set 1n of chromosomes, and the zygote, it is the fusion of ova and sperm. What's to be processed to be called? It is called fertilization, and it will carry 2n, means that 1n half set, half of the chromosomes it will receive from the male, and half of the chromosomes it will receive from the female. So then the zygote retains the original number, that is the 46. It will retain the original number of chromosome, that is 46. That's original number of a male, that's original number of the female. And in a zygote, or when a zygote will develop in the fetus or in an offspring, the number of chromosomes will be retained, that is to 46. Now listen here. तो zygote का हम ये कहेंगे, it is single cell with a single nucleus but two sets of chromosomes. Okay, listen here. It's a zygote. Then I'm just telling you the zygote is a single cell. Okay, it's a single cell. It's a single cell with single nucleus. Single cell with a single nucleus, but it contains it's a diploid, means diploid, a half set from the male and half set from the female. So we just call it as a diploid. Or we write over here, it's a 2n, 1n from male, 1n from the female. Then the original chromosome number is 10, that is 46, which I already mentioned you. Now listen here. तो ये था फर्टिलाइजेशन के बारे में. दिस वाज द फ्यूजन ऑफ मेल एंड फीमेल गेमेट्स एंड द फॉर्मेशन. तो मैंने ये कहा कि ये जो जाइगोट है ना, जाइगोट एक सिंगल सेल विद अ डिप्लॉयड न्यूक्लियस, विद अ सिंगल सेल विद अ सिंगल न्यूक्लियस एंड टू सेट्स ऑफ द क्रोमोसोम्स इन इट. नाउ this zygote is also to be called as fertilized egg. It's also to be called as fertilized egg. It's also to be called as fertilized egg. इसको fertilized egg भी कहा जाता है. Now listen here. तो अब रहा क्वेश्चन fertilization का, रहा क्वेश्चन fusion of male and female gamete का. Now the fertilization can have its types. The fertilization can be an internal, it can be an external. Now question arises there, what is then an internal external fertilization? Listen my dear, if the fusion of sperm and ova, if the unification of sperm and ova takes place inside the body of the female organism, if the fusion of sperm and ova takes place inside the body of a female organism, then it is to be called as internal fertilization. It's called as internal fertilization. So we are going to define what's an internal fertilization. Its definition goes like this. It is the fusion of male and female gamete. It's the fusion of male, or it's the fusion of sperm. It's a fusion of sperm and ova. It's a fusion of sperm and ova inside the body, inside the female body. Inside the female body, if the fusion of sperm and ova take place inside the female body. So male usually discharge the gametes inside the female, where the sperm was then the male gametes then travel in case of humans up to the fallopian tube, where the fertilization take place. So we just call it sperms and ova fuse inside the body of the female. If a fusion of sperm and ova take place inside the body, then it's to be called as internal fertilization. Now pen down an important point over here. In case of humans, where the fertilization take place inside the reproductive organs. There are different reproductive organs are over there. Let me demonstrate, let me tell you about these organs in a future lectures. There is the ovary is there, fallopian tube is there, uterus is there, then the cervix, then the uterus is there, cervix and vagina. Different types of organs are associated with the reproductive system of the female. Now which part of the reproductive system of the female the fertilization of sperm and ova take place, where the unification of the fusion take place? So listen here, pen down, it is to be the fallopian tube. You just called it oviduct or fallopian tube. It's an oviduct or fallopian tube. It's an oviduct or fallopian tube where the fusion of male and female gametes take place, where the fertilization take place, where the unification of sperm and the ova take place. The site is, so in case of humans, in case of human females, the site of fertilization is oviduct, or we also just called it fallopian. We also called it fallopian tube. Do you know any kind of examples besides the humans? Yes, in case of reptiles, just we call the example of reptiles. Do you an example of any of the reptile where the internal fertilization take place? Example is there: snake, lizard. Okay, snake, lizard. Do you an example of insects? Yes, we have a number of examples in case of insect, like housefly, slickworm, slick moth, housefly. Okay, in case of we also have the mammals, like number of the mammals. In case of the humans, humans are there, animals are there, where the internal fertilization take place. So it is the fusion of male and female gametes. If the fusion of male and female gametes takes place inside the body of an organism, then it is to be called as internal fertilization. I was just telling you that in case of males, the site of, in case of human, or in case of humans, human females, the site of fertilization is the fallopian tube, where the number of fertilizations and the number of examples where the internal fertilization take place. Where an example of the reptiles over there, snake, lizard is over there, insects में housefly और आपको slick worm और बहुत सारी examples आपको मिलेंगी. ये थी कुछ examples जो मैं बता रहा था. और इसके बाद now proceeding further. Now then, what is the external fertilization? Now coming to the second type of the fertilization, we just called it external fertilization. Now opposite to this, if the fusion of male and female gamete take place inside the body of an organism, we usually called it internal fertilization. But if the fusion of male gametes and the female gametes take place outside the body of an organism, outside, okay, if it's taking place outside the body of an organism, then it is to be called as external fertilization. So we just called it external fertilization. Let me pen down over here. It is external fertilization. External fertilization. If the fusion of male and female gamete take place outside the body of an organism, outside the body of the female organism, it is to be called as external fertilization. So you just call it is outside outside the body of an organism. Outside the body of an organism. The unification, the fertilization, the fusion, the mixing of gametes, mixing up of male and female gametes taking place outside the body of an organism, it is to be called as external fertilization. Do you need examples? Yes, there is the example one, the prominent example. I will just give the frog. There the fish. These are the examples of an organism where the external fertilization takes place, where the fusion of male and female gametes usually take place outside the body of an organism. Okay, now here what's happening, the males and the females, they discharge their gametes in the surrounding water, but these gametes are discharged in the large number, like the female discharge eggs in the thousands, and where the males discharge sperms in the lakhs. Okay, lakhs in number, I mean to say lakhs in number, while the sperms these unification, the fusion takes place in the surrounding water, and the development also takes place outside the water. Okay, the development also takes outside the body. So what's happening? The male usually comes, discharges his gametes, simultaneously female, they simultaneously come and discharge their gametes in the surrounding water. Then these female gametes, the female gametes are eggs, they are surrounded by the jelly. They are surrounded by the jelly. Okay, they are surrounded by the jelly. Or means say that they are united together. They are they are united together by a gel that keeps them united, so that they are not drifted away. They are not drifted away. They are not. They do not vanish, or they do not lost in the surrounding water. So the gel keeps these number of eggs intact, where the sperms come and fertilize and fuse these eggs outside the body in the surrounding water, okay. So this is to be called as external fertilization. And keep one thing in mind here, in case of humans it is internal fertilization, and development is also internal. Here in case of external fertilization, like in fish and frog, the development, the fertilization is internal, the fertilization is external, fertilization is external, and development is also external. Means that the development of the fetus, the development of the zygote takes place outside the body of an organism, then it turns into the adult. So whole of the process takes place outside the body. Here the fertilization is internal and the development is also internal. So is the difference between internal and external fertilizations. Tomorrow I will go in the coming lecture. I will just tell you about the advantages of internal and external fertilizations.